What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Lost Odyssey. So we're here in the inn. Let's go ahead and talk to the person at the counter here and we can advance the storyline. Welcome, the council has told me about you. Please enjoy your stay.
As Kaim slips into deep sleep, his dream unfolds. A dream or his past. At this moment, there is no way he could know.
Kaim recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart. A dream has been revealed. The family members have tears in their eyes when they welcome Kaim back to the inn from his long journey. Hannah's departure. Thank you so much for coming. He understands the situation immediately. Hold on, let me move my TV closer. The time for departure is drawing near. Too soon, too soon. But still, he knows this day would have to come sometime, and not in the distant future. I might never see you again, she said to him with a sad smile when he left on his journey. Her smiling face almost transparent in its whiteness, so fragile and therefore indescribably beautiful as he lay in bed. May I see Hannah now? He asked. The innkeeper gives him a tiny nod and says, I don't think she'll know who you are, though. She hasn't opened her eyes since last night, he warns Kaim. You can tell from the slight movement of her chest that she is clinging to a frail thread of life, but it could snap at any moment. It is such a shame. I know you made a special point to come here for her. Another tear glides down the wife's cheek. Never mind. It is fine, Kaim says. He has been present at numerous deaths, and his experience has taught him much. Death takes away the power of speech first of all, and the ability to see. What remains alive to the very end, however, is the power to hear. Even though the person has lost consciousness, it is by no means unusual for the voices of the family to bring forth smile or tears. Khan puts his arm around the woman's shoulder and says, I have lots of travel stories to tell her. I've been looking forward to this my whole time on the road. Instead of smiling, the woman releases another large tear and nods to Kime. And Hannah was so looking forward to hearing your stories. Her sobs almost drown out her words. The innkeeper says, I wish I could urge you to rest up from your travels before you see her, but Kime interrupts his apologies. Of course, I'll see her right away. There is very little time left. Hannah, the only daughter of the innkeeper and his wife, will probably breathe her last before the sun comes up. Kime lowers his pack to the floor and quietly opens the door to Hannah's room. Hannah was frail from birth. Far from enjoying the opportunity to travel, she rarely left the town or even the neighborhood in which she was born and raised. This child will probably not live to adulthood, the doctors told her parents. To this tiny girl with extraordinarily beautiful doll-like features, the gods have dealt an all too sad destiny. That they have allowed her to be born the only daughter of the keepers of a small inn by the highway was perhaps one small act of atonement for such an iniquity, I think. Hannah was unable to go anywhere, but the guests who stayed at her parents' inn would tell her stories of the countries and towns and landscapes and people that she would never know. Whenever new guests arrived at the inn, Hannah would ask them, where are you from? Where are you going? Can you tell me a story? She would sit and listen to their stories with sparkling eyes, urging them on to new episodes with, and then, when they left the inn, she would beg them, here, please come back and tell me lots and lots of stories about faraway countries. She would stand there waving until the person disappeared far down the highway, give one lonely sigh, and go back to bed. Hannah is sound asleep. No one else is in the room. Perhaps an indication that she has long since passed the stage when the doctor can do anything for her, or past the stage where the doctor can't do anything for her. Kime sits down in his chair next to the bed and says with a smile, hello Hannah, I'm back. She does not respond. Her little chest, still without the swelling of a grown woman, rises and falls almost imperceptibly. I went far across the ocean this time, he tells her. The ocean on the side where the sun comes up. Wow. Hold on. There we go. Move my TV closer. I took a boat from the harbor way, way, way far beyond the mountains you can see from this window. And I was on the sea from the time the moon was perfectly round till it got smaller and smaller and then bigger and bigger until it was full again. Nothing but ocean as far as the eye could see. just to see in the sky. Can you imagine it, Hannah? You've never seen the ocean, but I'm sure people have told you about it. It's like a huge, big, endless puddle. Kime chuckles to himself, and it seems to him that Hannah's pale, white cheek moves slightly. She can hear him, even if she cannot speak or see. Her ears are still alive, believing and hoping this to be true. Kime continues with the story of his travels. He speaks no words of parting. As always with Hannah, Kime smiles with a special gentleness he has never shown to anyone else, and he goes on telling his tales with a bright voice, sometimes even accompanying his story with exaggerated gestures. He tells her about the big blue ocean. He tells her about the blue sky. He says nothing about the violent sea battle that stained the ocean red. He never tells her about those things. Hannah was still a tiny girl when Kime first visited the inn. When he asked him, "Where are you from?" and "Will you tell me some stories?" With her childish pronunciations and innocent smile, Kime felt a soft glow in his chest. At the time, he was returning from a battle. More precisely, he had ended one battle and was on his way to the next. His life consisted of traveling from one battlefield to another, and nothing about that has changed to this day. He's taken the lives of countless enemy troops and witnessed the deaths of countless comrades on the battlefield. Moreover, the only thing separating enemies from comrades is the slightest stroke of fortune. Had the gears of destiny turned in a slightly different way, his enemies would have been comrades and his comrades' enemies. This is the fate of the mercenary. He was spiritually worn down back then and feeling unbearably lonely. As a possessor of eternal life, Kime had no fear of death, which was precisely why each of the soldiers faced distorted in fear, and why each face of a man who died in agony was burned permanently into his brain. Ordinarily, he would spend nights on the road drinking, immersing himself in an alcoholic stupor, or pretending he was trying to make himself forget the unforgettable. When, however, he saw Hannah smile as she begged him for stories about his long journey, he felt a far warmer and deeper comfort than he could ever obtain from liquor. He told her many things about a beautiful flower he discovered on the battlefield, about the bewitching beauty of the mist filling the forest the night before the final battle, about the marvelous taste of the spring water in a ravine where he and his men had fled after a long battle, about a vast bottomless blue sky he saw after a battle. He never told her anything sad. He kept his mouth shut about the human ugliness and stupidity he witnessed endlessly on the battlefield. He concealed his position as a mercenary from her, kept silent regarding his reasons for traveling constantly, and spoke only of things that were beautiful and sweet and lovely. He sees now that he told Hannah only beautiful stories of the road like this, not so much out of concern for her purity, but for his own sake. Staying in the inn where Hannah waited to see him turned out to be one of Kime's small pleasures in life. Telling her about the memories he brought back from his journeys, he felt some degree of salvation, however slight. 5 years, 10 years, his friendship with the girl continued. Little by little, she neared adulthood, which meant that, as the doctors had predicted, each day brought her that much closer to death. And now, Kai ends the last travel story he will share with her. He can never see her again, can never tell her stories again. Before dawn, the darkness of night is at its deepest. Long pauses enter into Hannah's breathing. The, the trail thread of her life is about to snap as Kaim and her parents watch over her. Tiny light that has lodged in Kaim's breast will be extinguished. His lonely travels will begin again tomorrow. His long, long travels without end. You'll be leaving on travels on your own soon, Hannah, Kaim tells her gently. You'll be leaving for a world that no one knows, a world that has never entered into any of the stories you have heard so far. Finally, you'll be able to leave your bed and walk anywhere you want to go. You'll be free. He wants her to know that death is not sorrow, but a joy mixed with tears. It is your turn now. Be sure to and tell everyone about the memories of your journey. Her parents will make the same journey someday, and someday Hannah will be able to meet all the guests she has known at the inn, far beyond the sky. I, however, can never go there. I can never escape this world, can never see you again. This is not goodbye. As the start of your journey. He speaks his words to her. We'll meet again. His final lie to her. Hannah makes her departure. Her face is transfused with a tranquil smile, as if she had just said, "See you soon." Her eyes will never open again. A single tear glides slowly down her cheek. And that's the end of it. So the majority of this episode is going to be me reading that. But, yeah, it was a sad story. View 1,000 Years of Dreams tutorial. Sure, I'm not sure what this is. Kaim's mind is filled with lost pieces of past memories. Certain sights of conversations can bring these memories back in the form of dreams. To view episodes from 1,000 Years of Dreams again, rest at any inn or bed, or select them from the start menu. You can view these episodes any number of times. When viewing an episode from 1,000 Years of Dreams, you can pause it by pressing the start button or cancel it by pressing the back button. No. Okay. See, that took a while. But get a nice little story there. They put a lot of time into that story. Like, reading a story, yeah, it takes quite a bit of time, but creating a story takes a lot longer. So can you imagine how long it took them to make that story? Probably a long time. Anyway, did you sleep well? No messages for you yet, I'm afraid. We'll hold any messages that come for you here, so please don't hesitate to take a stroll outside. I'm sure you'd like to forget the horrors of the battlefield. Oh, by the way, feel free to use any of the items you find here. They are compliments of the house. By the way, something mentioned about the seeds, right, that we've been collecting. If you miss any, don't worry about it, because you'll be able to get them later on. I'm not going to spoil anything, but you'll be able to get them later. So don't worry about it. Let me see what See if he says anything new. So I guess we probably just go like the residential district or something. Over this way, I think. I need to give me some water though, because I like did all that talking and I didn't have anything to drink. I just got an eat not long ago, so definitely have to give me some water here in a second. Okay. And trigger a memory. Kimes recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart. Oh no. Am I about to have to read a lot again? A dream has been revealed. Here we go, guys. Oh no. White flowers. I'm gonna have to go get me. I'm gonna have to give me some water though before reading this one. So I'm going to give me a water real quick. Alright, so I just drank a whole bunch of water. Almost the whole bottle. Lovely white flowers mark the town. They bloom on every street corner, not in beds or fields set aside for their cultivation, but blooming naturally and in profusion with every row of houses, as though the buildings and the blossoms have grown up together. The season is early spring, and snow still lingers on the nearby mountains. But the stretch of ocean that gently laps the town's southern shore is bathed in refulgent sunlight. This is an old and prosperous harbor town. Even now, each day, its piers see many cruise ships and freighters come and go. Its history, however, is sharply divided between the time before and the time after an event that happened one day long ago. People here prefer not to talk about it. The watershed engraved upon the town's chronology. Memories are too sorrowful to make stories out of them. Kime knows this, and because he knows it, he has come here once again. Passing through, the tavern master asks him. At the sound of his voice, Kime responds with a faint smile. You're here for the festival, I suppose? Should take your time and enjoy it. The man is in high spirits. He has joined his customers in glass after glass until now, and is quite red in the face. But no one shows any signs of blaming him for overindulging. Every seat in the tavern is filled, and the air reverberates with laughter. Happy voices can be heard now, and then as well from the road outside. The entire town is celebrating. Once each year, the festival has people making merry all night long till the sun comes up. I hope you've got a room for the night, sir. Too late to find one now. Every inn is full to overflowing, so it seems. Not that anyone would be foolish enough to spend a night like this quietly tucked away under the covers in his room. The tavern master winks at Kime as it to say, not you, sir. I'm sure. Tonight we're going to have the biggest, wildest party you've ever seen. And everybody's invited. Locals or not. Drink, food, gambling, women. Just let me know what you want. I'll make sure you have it. Kime sips his drink and says nothing. Before he's planning to stay awake all night. he has not taken a room, though he has no plans to enjoy the festival either. Kime will be offering up a prayer at the hour before dawn, when the night is at its darkest and deepest. He will leave the town, sent off by the morning sun as it pokes its face up between the mountains and the sea, just as he did at the time of his last visit. Back in the tavern master, who a few minutes ago was telling one of the regular customers that his first grandchild is about to be born, was himself just an infant. This one's on me. Drink up, says the tavern master, filling Kime's shot glass. He peers at Kime suspiciously and says, "You did come for the festival, didn't you?" "No, not really," Kime says. "Don't tell me you didn't know about it. You mean you came here by pure chance?" "Afraid so." "Well, if you came here on business, forget it. You'll never get serious talk out of anybody on a special night like this." The tavern master goes on to explain what is so special about this night. "You must have heard something about it once a long time ago. This town was almost completely destroyed." There are two kinds of events that divide history into before and after. One is the birth or death of some great personage, a hero or a savior. The other is something like a war or plague or natural disaster. What divided the town's history into before and after was a violent earthquake. It happened without warning and gave the soundly sleeping people of the town no chance to flee. A crack opened up in the earth with a roar, and roads and buildings just fell to pieces. Fire started, and they spread in a twinkling of an eye. Most everyone was killed. You probably can't imagine it. All know is what they taught me in school. And what does Resurrection Festival mean to a kid? It was just something that happened once upon a time. I live here, and that's all it means to me. So a traveler like you probably can't even begin to imagine what it was like. Is that what they call this holiday, Resurrection Festival? Uh-huh. The town was resurrected from a total ruin to this. That's what the celebration is all about. Kime gives a man a grim smile and sips his liquor. "What's so funny?" the tavern master asks. "Last time I was here, they were calling it Earthquake Memorial Day. It wasn't a festival for this kind of wild celebrating." "What are you talking about? It's been the Resurrection Festival ever since I was a kid." "That was before you were old enough to remember anything." "Huh?" "Before that, they called it Consolation of the Spirits. They'd burn a candle for each person who died and pray for them to rest in peace. It was a sad festival, lots of crying." "You sound as if you saw it happening yourself." "I did." "Yeah, he's immortal. He has lived a long time, a lot more than the tavern guy." The tavern master laughs with a loud snort. "You look sober, but you must be plastered out of your mind. Now listen, it's festival night, so I'm going to let you off the hook and for pulling my leg. But don't say stuff like that in front of the other townspeople. All of our ancestors, mine included, are the ones who barely escape with their lives." Kime knows full well what he is doing. He never expected the man to believe him. He just wanted to find out for himself whether the townspeople were still handing down the memories of the tragedy, whether deep down beyond their laughing faces there still lingered the sorrow that had been passed down from their forefathers' times. Forefathers' time. Called away by one of his other customers, Time Master leaves Kime's side, but not without first delivering a warning. Be careful what you say, sir. That kind of nonsense can get you in trouble, really. Think about it. The earthquakes happened all of 200 years ago. Kime does not answer him. Indeed, he sips his liquor in silence. Among the one who died in this tragedy 200 years ago were his wife and daughter. Of all the dozens of wives and hundreds of children that Kime has had in his eternal life, his wife and child he had here were especially unforgettable. In those days, Kime had a job at the harbor. There were just 3 of them. He, his wife, and their little girl. They lived simply and happily. Same kind of days that had preceded today would continue onto endless tomorrow. Everyone in the town believed that, including Kime's wife and daughter, of course. But Kime knew differently, precisely because his own life was long without end, and he had consequently tasted the pain of countless partings. Kime knew all too well that in the daily life of humans there was no forever. This life his family was leading would have an end sometime, could not go on unchanged. This was by no means a cause for sorrow, however, not a grasp upon forever. Human beings knew how to love and cherish the here and now. Kime especially loved to show his daughter flowers. The more fragile and short-lived, the better. Flowers that bloomed with the morning sun and scattered before the sun went down. They were everywhere in the harbor town. Lovely white flowers that bloomed in early spring. His daughters loved the flowers. She was a gentle child who would never break off blossoms that had struggled so bravely to bloom. Indeed, she simply watched them for hours at a time that year too. Look how big the buds are. They'll be blooming any time now, she said happily when she found the white flowers on the road near the house. Tomorrow maybe, Kime wondered aloud. Absolutely, his wife chummed in merrily. Get up early tomorrow and have a look. Poor little flowers, though, said the daughter. It's nice when they bloom, but then they wither right away. All the better, said Kime's wife. It's good luck if you get to see them blooming. That makes it more fun. It may be fun for us, answered the girl, but think about the poor flowers. They work so hard to open up, and they wither the same day. It's sad. Well, yes, I guess so. Momentary air of sadness flowed into the room, but Kime quickly dispelled it with a laugh. Happiness is not the same thing as longevity, he proclaimed. What does that mean, Papa? It may not bloom for long, but the flower is happy if it can open up the prettiest blossom and give off the sweetest perfume it knows how to make while it is blooming. The girl seemed to have trouble grasping this and simply nodded with a little sigh. She then broke into a smile and said, "Must be true if you say so, Papa." Your smile is more beautiful than any flower in full bloom. He should have said it to her. Kime later regretted that he had not. The words he had uttered so carelessly, he came to realize, turned out to be something of a prophecy. Well now, young lady, he said, if you're getting up early to see the flowers tomorrow morning, better go to bed right now. All right, Papa, I really have to. I'm going to bed now, too, said Kime's wife. Okay, then, good night, Papa, his wife said to Kime. Good night, dear. I really am going to bed now. Good night, Kime replied, enjoying one last cup to ease the day's fatigue. These turned out to be the last words the family shared. A violent earthquake struck the town before dawn. Kime's house collapsed in a heap of rubble. Kime's two loved ones departed for the distant other world before they could awaken from their deep sleep without ever having had a chance to say good morning to him. The morning sun rose on a town that had been destroyed in an instant. Amid the rubble, the flowers were blooming, the white flowers that Kime's daughter had wanted so badly to see. Kime thought to lay a flower in offering on his daughter's cold corpse, but abandoned the idea. He could not bring himself to pick a flower. No living being on the face of the earth, he realized, had the right to snatch the life of a flower that possessed that life for only one short day. Kime could never say to his daughter, you go first to heaven and wait for me. I'll be there before long. Nor would he ever know the joy of reunion with his loved ones. To live 1,000 years meant bearing the pain of 1,000 years of parting. Kime continued his long journey, a dizzying number of years and months followed by years and months during which numberless wars and natural calamities scourged the earth. People were born and they died. They loved each other and were parted from the ones they loved. There were joys beyond measure and sorrows just as measureless. People fought and argued without end, but they also loved and forgave each other endlessly. Thus was history built up as the tears of the past evolved gradually into prayers for the future. Kime continued his long journey. Throughout, he rarely thought about the wife and daughter with whom he had spent those few short days in the harbor town, but he never forgot them. Kime continued his long journey, and in the course of his travels, he stopped by his harbor town again. Oh, this is going to be hard to read because as the night dispensed, the din of the crowds on the increase, but now as a hint of light comes into the eastern sky, without a signal from anyone, the noise gives way to silence. Kime has been standing in the town's central square. The revelers too have found their way here one at a time, until almost before he knows it, the stone-paved plaza is filled with people. Kime feels a tap on the shoulder. They expect to find you here, says the tavern master. When Kime gives him a silent smile, the tavern master looks somewhat embarrassed and says, there's something I forgot to tell you before. Oh. Well, you know, the earthquake happened a long time ago, before my father and mother's time, even before my grandparents' generation. It might sound funny for me to say this, but I can't imagine this town in ruins. I know what you mean. I do think, though, that there are probably things in this world that you can remember even if you haven't actually experienced them. Hold on one second. Let me get some water. Okay. Like the earthquake, I haven't forgotten it, and I'm not the only one. It may have happened 200 years ago, but nobody in this town has ever forgotten it. We can't imagine it, but we can't forget it either. Just as Kime nods again to signal his understanding of the tavern's keeper's words, a somber melody echoes throughout the square. This is the hour when the earthquake destroyed the town. All the people assembled here closed their eyes, clasped their hands together to offer up a prayer, the tavern master and Kime among them. To Kime's, to Kime's closed eyes come the smiling faces of his dead wife and daughter. Why are they so beautiful and so sad? These faces that believe with all their hearts that tomorrow is to come. The music ends. The morning sun climbs above the horizon, and everywhere throughout the town bloom countless white flowers. In 200 years, the white flowers have changed. The scientists have hypothesized that the earthquake may have changed the nature of the soil itself, but no one knows that cause for sure. Lives of the flowers have lengthened. Where before they would bloom and wither in the space of a single day, now they hold their blooms for 3 and 4 days at a time. Moistened by the dew of night, bathed in the light of the sun, the white flowers strive to live their lives to the fullest, beautifying the town as if striving to live out the portion of life denied to those whose tomorrows were snatched away from them forever. Yeah, so that story, you get like Kime being immortal, he's had to experience a lot of bad things, and it really goes to show. It's really good storytelling because it makes the player feel like we as humans, we live such short lives, right? And Kime gets to live a long life, but it's not always a good thing because he's living a longer 1,000-year life, right? And he's had to experience so much tragedy. Like he had to experience the tragedy of, so far we know that he had to experience the tragedy of a little girl dying. He lost his wife and kids, and then an earthquake killed a bunch of people. So he's had to experience all that so far, and that's just a small portion of all the stuff he's had to deal with. So yeah, very good storytelling by Hironobu Sakaguchi. Like, just phenomenal. And I also like how Kime's immortal, right? And in battle that actually shows as well, because after he dies in combat, he will eventually come back to life in the battle. And I'll probably be able to show that off later in the playthrough and everything. So, yeah, that's really cool. Anyway, guys, that was a lot of reading in this episode, but it's awesome to get some good storyline. They put a lot of work in the stories. You can tell, like just reading 2 stories, it was like a 40-minute episode. So you can only imagine how long it took them to write all that stuff and how long it took them to make the storyline in general, you know. Yeah, it basically showed that Kime's been through a lot in his life. And we've only seen a fraction of his life because we've only went through 2 stories. That's already a lot to go through right there. He lost his wife and kids. He saw the earthquake kill a bunch of people or whatever. and he little girl died, and he was in the same room as the little girl when she died. So seeing all that, seeing that just small portion of the stuff he's went through is kind of insane. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to end the video here. Stay tuned for the next episode, and later.